On the news tonight, state government reaffirms determination to deliver quality infrastructure. INEC expresses readiness for Edo and Ondo state governorship elections. Nigerian students threatens to occupy major cities across the country if the recent fuel prices is not reversed. And abroad, Japan welcomes new highly eligible bachelor as Prince Hisahito. Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us for Delta TV News at 8. I am Blessing Usiabada. Director General of the State Orientation and Communications Bureau, Dr. Fred Ogenesiwe, has said the state governor, Honorable Sheriff Oberewore, is determined to deliver quality infrastructure. Dr. Ogenesiwe made a session in Asaba while speaking on a public affairs radio program, pointing out that regular inspection of ongoing road infrastructure projects was an integral part of the governor's core oversight functions to ensure that contractors and engineers were on the same page with the state government. He warned that site engineers who dared to compromise with contractors to deliver substandard jobs would have issues to grind with the governor, while advising contractors to ensure they did the right thing to avoid repudiation of their contracts, refund of taxpayers' money, and/or litigations. The Orientation Bureau DG added that substandard jobs were not only a waste of public money, but also an indictment on both the contractor and the government, which was why Governor Berewore would never commission any project that was substandard, as could be seen from the Ishagu Ewulu 9.1 kilometer road project, in which he ordered the contractor to return to site. Dr. Ogenesiwe commended the two commissioners for works, Comrade Ruben Izeze and Mr. Charles Anyago, for their valuable effort and positive steps at ensuring that ongoing projects were delivered without any form of compromise. He stated that regular inspection of projects would continue, as it was part of the oversight functions of the governor to ensure that both the contractors and engineers were on the same page with the state government as far as standard job delivery is concerned under the Meaningful Development Union encapsulated in the MORE agenda. The state government has announced the 2024-2025 academic session resumption date for the underlisted schools in Oshele South local government area. A statement signed by the Director of Public Communication and Functioning Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Mrs. Theresa Oliko, says that the outcome to the announcement by the State Ministry of Education is on account of the National Youth Games scheduled to begin in the state capital from Monday 9th to Thursday 19th September 2024. The statement said the following schools to be closed during the competition include the West End Mixed Secondary School, Junior Staff Primary School, Government Model Secondary School, Unity Secondary School, and Osadenis Mixed Secondary School. Others are Anglican Girls Grammar School, St. Patrick's College, West End, Infant Jesus Academy, Master Care International School, and Model Technical College, all in Asaba. It added that the affected schools would be open for admission activities and would reopen for academic activities on September 23, 2024. The state government has approved the sale of supplementary entrance examination forms into the 17 model secondary schools in the state. A statement from Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, Mr. Daniel Akiri, indicated that the gesture would afford to those the opportunity that could not participate in the previous entrance examination. The statement requested that interested candidates to proceed to the office of the Chief Inspectors of Education and that of the office of the school principals where the 17 model secondary schools existed. According to the statement, interested candidates are to pay the sum of 3,500 naira to purchase the form at the office of the Chief Inspectors of Education and the school principals. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has provided updates on its preparations for the Edo and Ondo state governorship elections. The National Commission and Chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee in INEC, Mr. Sam Olumekun, represented by the Director of Voter Education and Publicity, Mrs. Mary Nkim, gave the update in Abuja. He emphasized the media's importance not only as a conveyor of information, but also as a key player in the democratic process, particularly during elections. Mr. Olumekun, however, called for integrity in media reportage as the two off-cycle elections approach in a few weeks. He also warned journalists against reporting fake news, emphasizing that misinformation could harm the electoral process, especially in the digital age. The Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman, Mr. Rotimi Onyekami, offered recommendations to the media to help avoid the spread of fake news. Mr. Oyekami reminded the media that their role was enshrined in the 1999 Constitution and stressed the importance of journalists understanding INEC's election result management processes. He urged the media to comply with the Nigerian Media Code of Electoral Coverage, emphasizing fairness and objectivity. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources and Oil, Senator Henikin Lokobiri, has given assurance of the availability of petroleum products in the country, saying they would be available by the weekend. Senator Lokobiri stated this via a video he shared on his X handle, addressing the prevailing issues of pricing and scarcity of premium motor spirits (PMS). He added that prices might differ across different locations, but once the supply of products becomes consistent nationwide, prices are expected to stabilize. The minister pointed out that the oil sector was deregulated and the government was therefore not responsible for fixing prices. The Lagos State government has extended its work-from-home policy for its workers for the next 3 months. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu approved the extension in a circular signed by the State Head of Service, Mr. Bode Agoro. The extension took effect from September 4. The circular directed that workers on grade levels 1 to 14 were allowed to work from home for 2 days in a week, while those on grade level 15 to 17 were allowed to work from home for 1 day in a week. It said the decision was aimed at reducing the effects of the removal of fuel subsidy on the workers, adding that the policy made positive impacts on workers' productivity in the various ministries, departments, and agencies of the state government. The governor said the government was also working out plans where civil servants from levels 1 to 14 would come to the office a maximum of 3 times a week. The extension took effect from September 4. The Kano State House of Assembly has passed a supplementary budget of 99 billion naira to enable the state government to implement the new minimum wage and other services. The Speaker of the House, Alhaji Jibril Fago, said that the budgets would enable the state government to implement the new minimum wage and other services, as the fund would be extended on recurrent personnel and overhead costs. He appreciated his colleagues for their contributions towards the speedy passage of the bill. The Jigawa State House of Assembly has slashed 1 billion naira from its allocations in the state's 2024 budget, as the lawmakers redirected funds in the current budget to agriculture, education, and emergency relief services. The 2024 Budget Review Appropriation Bill, passed on Thursday, reallocated about 17 billion naira to addressing critical needs across various sectors. The review was done at the plenary presided over by the Speaker, Honorable Haruna Aliyu. The Speaker said the Budget Review Appropriation Bill also reduced the provisions for recurrent expenditure of government agencies. Allocations to service delivery operations, maintenance, and other miscellaneous costs were reduced to about 2.5 billion naira and capital development programs to about 14.5 billion naira. The National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, has threatened to occupy major cities across the country on September 15 if the current increase in fuel prices is not reversed. The Senate President of the student body, Mr. Henry Okomo, stated stated that the body must act swiftly to alleviate the severe hardships faced by millions of Nigerians due to the recent increase in fuel prices. Mr. Opomo said that the planned nationwide protest will hold if the government fails to heed to the body's demand before September 15, adding that it would not be business as usual. He stated that the protest is not organized by some faceless element but by a body which is Nigerian students recognized under the law. Mr. Opomo noted that NANS, through its platforms, had been sensitizing students across the country on the planned protest, adding that private varsity students were free to join. The clarification came after a factional Senate president of the association, Mr. Babatunde Akinteye, denied that the group was organizing a protest against the increase in petrol price. Meanwhile, the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, has urged the federal government to prioritize cutting down the high cost of education instead of the loans it is proposing to give to students. The Senate President of the NANS, Mr. Henry Opomo, who gave the advice in an interview, said a reduction in the cost of education would be more profitable to Nigerian students as against loans that might not be paid back due to the high rate of unemployment. The implementation of the student loan scheme is President Bola Tinubu's flagship project in the education sector. The president introduced the fund when he signed the Access to Higher Education Act, which creates a legal framework for granting loans to indigent or low-income Nigerians to facilitate the payment of their fees in Nigerian tertiary institutions. The Nigeria Correctional Service has disclosed that the federal government has increased the feeding allowance for prison inmates. The spokesperson for the service, Mr. Umar Abubakar, made the disclosure at the Strategic Communications Interagency Policy Committee's monthly press briefing in Abuja. Mr. Umar also stated that the NCOS had created a conducive environment for inmates to fulfill its mandate of reformation and rehabilitation. He added that over 1,000 inmates were undergraduates, with 282 on their diploma and master degrees and 6 undergoing their PhD programs. The increase in inmates' feeding allowance follows a recent viral video in which inmates at a correctional center in Calabar, Cross River State, complained about inadequate feeding due to the rising cost of food. The Nigerian Correctional Service, NCOS, has affirmed that there are no cases of mpox in its 256 custodial centers across the country. Assistant Controller of Corrections and Service Public Relations Officer, Mr. Abubakar Umar, made this known in an interview with newsmen in Abuja. According to NCDC, 48 mpox cases across 19 states and the FCT, with no deaths recorded, according to the NCDC. On August 27, Nigeria received 10,000 vaccine doses from the US government to control the outbreak. While Nigeria has previously handled isolated cases of the virus, the current outbreak has escalated the situation, necessitating a more pressing and concerted response. Mr. Umar, however, attributed the service's success to the proactive measures taken to prevent the outbreak of diseases, including ensuring compliance with medical directives, robust sanitation systems, and adequate water supply. He also disclosed that the service was also working in synergy with state government and the Ministry of Health to prevent the outbreak of mpox in all the custodial centers in Nigeria. According to him, one of the things that cannot be taken away with the NCOS is the proactive steps taken to actually prevent outbreaks of any diseases in the custodial centers. This is Delta TV News at 8. Still to come, Japan welcomes new highly eligible bachelor as Prince Hisahito. Details of this story and many more will come after the short break. Please stay tuned.
Let's go! No. Let's go. If we continue like this now, where will we end? Bros, calm down. Calm down. I know say it be like say all of us the best now. But more will not say any damage where we they cause now, not to our own state. And when we talk about our own state, we they talk about ourselves, about our family, our fathers and mothers, our wives, brothers and sisters, even our children. If we use our own hands, scatter what we get as our own, now where we go call our own again?
Now truth it all go. After all, Governor Sheriff, he don't promise say go do more for their dance. Now wait till me cause con dey fight now.
Wait till our guy dey talk so, it makes sense.
You see now. No be lie. We need peace today so that we go fit experience the more agenda. Meaningful development for all. But where there is no peace, there cannot be prosperity now. When they fight, they prosper. No need for the fight. Now peace and unity. Now we want. It takes peace to experience more. Together in peace and unity, we will experience the more agenda. Brought to you by Delta State Ministry of Information.
TV News at 8. Now the news continues. Pope Francis has today left Indonesia for Papua New Guinea, the second leg of an adios 12-day tour of the Asia Pacific, after delivering a message of religious unity in the world's most populous Muslim majority nation. The 87-year-old appeared fit and smiling during his 3-day visit, despite a hectic schedule and intense heat, presiding over a mass of more than 80,000 people at the football stadium yesterday. A formal leaving ceremony with an honor guard was held at Jakarta's International Airport, where the papal plane took off for Papua New Guinea capital, Port Moresby. He will land there in the evening, and his official schedule had no other events planned for the rest of the day. Thousands of Indonesians waited outside the Vatican's diplomatic mission in Jakarta, shouting and trying to catch a glimpse of the pontiff as he left for the airport. In the Indonesian capital, Pope Francis also signed a declaration with the Grand Imam of Southeast Asia's largest mosque, calling for action against religiously inspired violence and climate change. He will stay until September 9 in Papua New Guinea, the multi-ethnic Pacific country, where the majority of the population is Christian, mostly Protestant. Japan has today welcomed the new highly eligible bachelor as Prince Hisahito, the imperial family's last hope for long-term survival, unless the rules are changed to allow female succession turned 18. His formal coming-of-age ceremony has been delayed until at least 2025 to allow him to finish school. Prince Hisahito is the only son of Crown Prince Akishino, 58, and Crown Princess Kiko, 57, and is second in line to succeed his uncle, Emperor Naruhito, 64. Although Naruhito has a daughter, Aiko, 22, she cannot succeed her father under the imperial household law enacted in 1947 due to her gender. Royal women must also leave the family upon marrying a commoner, as was the case in 2021 when Hisahito's other sister, former Princess Mako, married her university sweetheart. This rule does not apply to male members of the family. For instance, Naruhito's father, Akihito, 90, married Minchiko, 89, the daughter of a floor magnate, after meeting her on a tennis court in 1959. And back home and in business, The Corporate Affairs Commission (CAC) has reminded point-of-sale operators across Nigeria that the deadline for business registration, initially announced on July 7, expired yesterday. In a statement, the CAC expressed concerns over inadequate compliance with the directive, despite the large number of POS operators in the country. The CAC commended operators who have taken steps to formalize their businesses, praising their positive attitude towards compliance. It noted with concern the significant number of operators who have not adhered to the directive. The Commission emphasized that it was working in collaboration with law enforcement agencies and other relevant stakeholders to implement a comprehensive enforcement and sanction framework. The measures may include the shutdown of non-compliant businesses and other severe legal consequences. The federal government, through the Corporate Affairs Commission, had previously set a 2-month deadline for POS operators to register their agents, merchants, and individuals with the Commission in compliance with legal requirements and the directives of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The directive was issued in response to a rise in fraud incidents involving POS terminals and CBN's plans to prohibit trading in cryptocurrencies and other virtual currencies. And now in sports, the Stephen Keshi Stadium, main venue for the 8th edition of the National Youth Games, is now wearing a new look as the organizers put in new facilities to add color to the games. From the main bowl to the swimming pool and the 2 indoor sports hall, the impact of the state's readiness to host the event is clearly evident. After months of preparation, the state government says it is fully set to host the 8th National Youth Games. The state hosted the 7th edition of the Youth Games last year, with virtually all the states and the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) in attendance. Governor Sheriff Obarewari-led government is looking forward to hosting a bigger and better games, which will run from September 9 to 19. Chairman of the local organizing committee, Chief Solomon Oba, confirmed that all logistics needed to host a successful event had been put in place, stressing that this year's edition would be a talking point in the history of Nigerian sports. The opening ceremony scheduled for the Asaba 2024 National Youth Games will be held on Wednesday. And that's our news. Now a thought for the day. Never stop learning, because life never stops teaching. Before we go, let's take a look at some of our major stories. Director General of the State Orientation and Communications Bureau, Dr. Fred Ogenesiwe, has said the state governor, Honorable Sheriff Obarewari, is determined to deliver quality infrastructure. Dr. Ogenesiwe made a session in Asaba while speaking on a public affairs radio program, pointing out that regular inspection of ongoing road infrastructure projects was an integral part of the governor's core oversight functions to ensure that contractors and engineers were on the same page with the state government. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has provided updates on its preparations for the Edo and Ondo state governorship elections. The National Commissioner and Chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee in INEC, Mr. Sam Olumekun, represented by the Director of Voter Education and Publicity, Mrs. Mary Nkem, gave the update in Abuja. The National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, has threatened to occupy major cities across the country on September 15 if the recent increase in fuel prices is not reversed. The Senate President of the student body, Mr. Henry Okomo, stated that the body must act swiftly to alleviate the severe hardships faced by millions of Nigerians due to the recent increase in fuel prices. We also reported that Japan has today welcomed a new highly eligible bachelor as Prince Hisahito, the imperial family's last hope for long-term survival unless the rules are changed to allow female succession turned 18. His formal coming-of-age ceremony has been delayed until at least 2025 to allow him to finish school. That ends Delta TV News at 8. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Blessing Usiagbada. Have a peaceful night rest and a great weekend.